Welcome to Fun is Fundamental. Fun is Fundamental is a podcast for those who realize that the enjoyment of life is about having something deep in our souls which lights our fire. It's for those who maybe have lost that fire and feel like they are missing out on the pleasures of life. In each episode, I will share recent fun activities and focus on why having fun is essential for good health. I'm your host, Alenia, and I invite you to take this journey with me and join the pleasure-seeking movement. Hi, welcome to Fun is Fundamental. And this week I'm talking about a recent event where I got a house together with a few of my girlfriends for the whole weekend. And I feel like this is probably going to be one of my favorite episodes because it's just such like a powerful feeling to have good friendships. So it's 3 girlfriends with me, so 4 of us total. And I just was like, I really want to have like a girls' weekend, I definitely think about like the girl squad thing, sometimes, and I feel like a little envious of it sometimes, but I guess it's just because I haven't been very good about putting, kind of like putting it out there to be like, let's do these things. And so I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna be that person and be like, hey, do you want to get a house together for the weekend? So I had 3 girlfriends that agreed, and I don't know, I feel like it's been a long time since I had anything resembling the girl squad, right? Since like high school, maybe even, I don't know. I guess I had some later, but it's just been a long time. And, it was definitely way long before social media ever dubbed the term Girl Squad. And I, just generally, I guess I tend to have just a couple of girlfriends. And I usually just hang out with them like one-on-one or maybe like with a group of like other people. Because like we have, male friends too. So a lot of times it's just like a mixed group. And so I don't actually like hang out with like multiple girlfriends at the same time usually. And so it's just like really like, I don't understand like having a girl squad right now, like anymore. But I know like the general feeling of having like a lot of girlfriends for sure from the past, Anyway, so making the decision to ask them to get a house with each other when some of them don't really know each other very well was like kind of a little bit risky. But they were open to it. So, and you just kind of like are like, oh, what if they don't really like each other, just simply just don't mesh very well, but you figure it's like, oh, well, it's not high school anymore. Like people usually are like pretty chill, not catty, and any of the issues would just be pretty minor, and maybe we just don't do it again, at least that, like not in that kind of, not that balance, not that group. But it actually ended up being very, very positive experience. So I'm glad it worked out. And I don't know, that feeling when 2 different groups kind of converge. And I mean, this was especially when I was younger, and it's not really that much of a problem now. But anyway, you have to like make like this hybrid personality, like you blend the 2 personalities together kind of at the same time. It happened a little bit because one of my friends I've been friends with for like 20 years. And so like there's all these stories and like of the past and like who I was 20 years ago. And, I'm a very different person now, but I think because I'm so comfortable with who I am now that it's not really like a big deal, I guess, to like kind of reminisce about those times and kind of like go back, a little bit. But and we're still we're still friends, so it's not like she doesn't know like the current me, But anyway, it kind of reminded me of this monologue that I did probably about 20 years ago. And it was like this like actress that's like just like failing. She's just not good at all. And she's like, and I was in community college in an acting class. And anyway, the character had gone on this audition and there were 3 female characters, and she was like, oh, which one should I be? And the casting director was just like, oh, improvise. And so she just like molds all three of the characters together, and it's so funny. I loved that monologue so much, and seriously, 20 years later, I still think about that monologue. I just loved it. It was so much fun. Anyway, that just reminded me of those times 20 years ago when I was a very different person. So anyway, we got a house in Whidbey Island, and if you've ever been there, it's very beautiful. We were right on the water. It's yeah. But yeah, I had never actually gotten like a house together with a bunch of girlfriends. Like this is the first time that's ever been like this kind of thing, this kind of girl squatty kind of event, you know? Like I traveled with like a friend before, like one at a time. But yeah, never like a group, never like a whole weekend, just females. But yeah, it reminded me of like sleepovers in your youth, you know, when I was a teenager. I love sleepovers. Who didn't love sleepovers? And so like, you know, I like there was part of me that's like I want to recreate sleepovers, you know. I want to give each other manicures and do each other's hair and do each other's makeup. But then I was just like, oh, we're in a pandemic. Maybe we shouldn't like be using each other's makeup or something, you know, like that kind of thing. And I don't know, maybe that's a little gross anyway. I like the idea of it, but it's also kind of like now it's like germs. Oh no. Anyway, I mean, obviously, like you know, some in some ways it's like a sleepover, but you know, obviously there's a lot more planning. There was a lot more money spent. There was a lot more drinking and cooking, you know, of course, because we're adults. And you know, I like that part of it. Like we had like, oh, I made, we had loco moco one morning, and then we had like, I made some like barbacoa tacos. And it's just like, oh, it's so good. It's so much better than the food I had at sleepovers in the past. Although, you know, I'm not gonna knock, you know, things like fish sticks and chicken nuggets and corn dogs. Like those are delicious too, but different era, different kind of food. They don't compare, you know. It's different. So I do miss junk food sometimes. Not that I never eat junk food, but you know, but I also really love like the delicious classy food that we had and giant bloody marys with like I put so much fixings in them. Oh, I'm gonna post pictures. It's beautiful, beautiful. Chef's kiss, beautiful. And then yeah, so we're on Whidbey Island. Beautiful view. Yeah, I guess one of the things I do miss about the sleepovers is like when you're all like on the floor and you know, you're in your sleeping bag and you're ready to go to sleep. But you just keep on laughing. Like you can't just stop laughing. And then finally just like people just start drifting off to sleep. Like you're literally laughing until you're asleep. I think that's the one thing that I genuinely completely miss about old-fashioned sleepover. Like I just want to sleep on the floor with you and fall asleep laughing. Is that asking too much? Does anyone else miss that? Does anyone else miss that? You know, I mean, obviously, like, it's a real bed is nice. It's a real bed's nice, but yeah, just laughing and laughing and laughing. While there were many things that were different, like my ability to eat copious amounts of junk food, one thing that didn't change was staying up late and laughing. Like we did those things. It just wasn't quite the same, you know. We had, you know, we just had fun just talking and laughing. You know, like we did things. We went to like see Coopville. It's so cute. If you've ever been, it's adorable old town, you know. It's the buildings are old. It's great. They say like the dates of these buildings that are like 150 years old, you know. It's adorable. We went to a winery and I made a really good charcuterie board, but it was really just the quality time of hanging out that was really worth it. Though we did have a really great view from the Airbnb, so I definitely would not turn that down again. It was very beautiful. But, there's a reason that they say laughter is the best medicine. Like, laughter strengthens your immune system and it relieves pain and it obviously boosts your mood and it actually protects you from the damaging effects of stress. So, laugh it up. Laugh. Because even if you get stressed out, you have some more protection from the stress because you have laughed. So, like, obviously, everyone needs time with friends, but, according to research, women seem to like really need it more. And it's like, especially like in the times of stress, because we tend to release oxytocin, the hormone that's about bonding and love. And so it seems like, they call this like tend and befriend. It's like basically like because women aren't like as physically strong, so I think that's part of it, but also because we give birth. So like I think it's like we have to like get all together and protect the young, our offspring. It's their safety in numbers, basically. And you got to protect your children, right? So that's why like in times of stress, like women especially need to connect because if we're releasing this oxytocin, we need to then replenish it so we're not depleted. There's probably no greater relief, just generally, to our day-to-day stresses than time with friends. I mean, obviously you need time to just relax, to just be quiet. But like the recharging, for women, the oxytocin comes with time together. And there's something about like spending time with friends that you can just completely be yourself with. You don't have to put on any of your facades, and any fake perfection, I guess. And we as women, we spend so much time walking this tightrope of likability in this culture that just letting your imperfections out and just being unapologetic is really cathartic. Women also give some of the best advice and they, help you to be the best version of yourself. As much as I love my husband, there are things that he doesn't really understand. We are very different, like in how we view the world and our life experiences. And so time with my friends, like it's like, yeah, you understand me. You see me. It is so supportive and safe and understanding and non-judgmental because we all just seem to get it. It's so nice to not have to explain who I am and why I do the things that I do. And for them too, the way that they do it, there's just this universal like I got you. I got you, in these kind of bonds. Of course, female friendship at its worst is catty and competitive and backstabbing. And obviously, luckily, I don't experience that anymore. The people that get close to me are not those people. It hasn't been that way for a very long time. And I mean, I think I would consider myself pretty lucky generally that I have been able to sidestep a lot of drama, female drama in my life. Not that there hasn't been any, but definitely a lot of it. And, and now we're just like, we're adults, we're secure, and we aren't dealing with that kind of, those kind of friendships. Like we are just like, nope. Like if we see any like inkling of like that kind of insecurity where they're going to be like that, where they're going to start getting catty and like their insecurity like comes out in their friendship, then just we're okay with just walking away, you know. That's how I feel like, you know, I recognize with a lot of those that are my friends, you know, now. So there's research to suggest that we should aim for hanging out twice a week with our friends. And I don't feel like there's many people that actually hang out this much. As much as I have been trying to prioritize fun and socializing my life, and while I've seen benefits of doing so, I am not even close to this amount of quality time with my friends. And while, you know, this may be too much for some people, I think most people probably could feel like this, they would like it, and that they're actually missing out by not doing so. Spending time with friends, you know, relieves stress, of course. It promotes feelings of happiness, positivity. People with a good, solid friend group, they have lower rates of illness and death. They recover from surgeries more quickly. Those that don't have friends, you know, like some of the things that they experience are like more cognitive decline as they age. I understand that the rise in prominence of the Girl Squad has added to feelings of loneliness for those that don't have this. But just like everything else with social media, we are often like presented with a one-size-fits-all idea of female friendship. And for some, this is not the reality, nor do some people want it to be. I'm very content with a smaller group of friends. Could I make room for more? Of course. And, you know, if there are people that come into my life that, you know, I'm like, oh, I really like this person, I'm happy to like include that person into my friendship group. But it doesn't serve me to just sit around and be envious of what others showcase on social media. A lot of the prominent ideas of the Girl Squad are of women in their 20s, cisgender, white. They have a lot more money than me. They have atypical jobs like influencers, and they have extroverted personalities. And for mere mortals like myself, and you listening probably, that commute to a 40-hour-a-week job and live paycheck to paycheck and are tired 40-year-olds, you get what you give in maintaining long-lasting friendships. And I don't expect that I have the time or energy to like try to have like a big group of friends and to be able to like have the kind of lifestyle that's being showcased, you know. Like it was a big deal for us to get together and have this one weekend, you know. Of course, if you really don't have enough girlfriends and it's not just the comparison game, then there are things that you can do, but it does take bravery and, you know, the risk of possible rejection, which obviously can be scary. You know, one thing you can do is if you have like a cool acquaintance that you'd like to be better friends with, then, you know, you can take the leap to invite them to do something with you. This may or may not work, of course. That's always the risk of, you know, human to human interactions, you know. And then but if you don't even have anyone that's, you know, an acquaintance that could be a better friend, then it's time, you know, it's time to get out there, because no friend is going to just drop into your lap. You know, you can take up a hobby like an art class or go dancing, or I mean, you know, there's a lot of things that you can go do and learn, and you have to go out there though. And if you do have some great girlfriends, then you need to like make sure that you're scheduling time together, because especially everyone is always just so busy, right? And so you have to prioritize it. Like you prioritize going to the dentist and like put it in your calendar. And if you have the ability to like schedule weekly or twice a week, you know, that would be amazing time to get together with at least one girlfriend. Then I think I would definitely be like, do it. You should do it. You know, come on, get out there. But, we need to prioritize what's really important. And so much of so many people are like waking up to like being like all these things that they're doing and they're like, this isn't important. Why am I doing this? We need to stop living our lives for other people that are not important, and just these are the people that are important in your life, and these are the people that you need to make time for. Friends, family, a relationship, those are the people. And, friendship is more important than we usually acknowledge. And so ultimately, all good things, they take time and effort and they take risk. But, it's so worth it to have people in your life that you can connect to and laugh with. I want more experiences like this and more time with my girlfriends, both for the female camaraderie and just the general feeling of lightness that accompanies laughing with people that you care about. It was definitely a very positive experience. And actually, reflecting back, I'm like, oh, wow. It's like, feels like, yeah, I mean, positive, but also just like, yeah, there's lightness, there's gaiety, that comes with doing things that bring you joy in your life. And there's just, as much as like I've enjoyed doing all the different things for this podcast, there's definitely different levels of how much joy the things bring me. And like literally there's not been nothing that I'm like, oh, I didn't enjoy that at all. But I would say this experience is really up there with, the most beneficial experiences for myself, for my health. So I have a quote from the beautiful Beyonce, of course, and I feel her. I feel her in this quote. I love my husband, but it is nothing like a conversation with a woman that understands you. I grow so much from those conversations. I'm going to do a bonus quote. It's Oprah. Lots of people want to ride with you in the limo. What you want is someone who will take the bus with you when the limo breaks down. I like that quote too. Because, those are the ride or dies, right? They're with you no matter what. Shit hits the fan. They're there. Those are the people you want. Yeah. So I hope that you have great friends. And if you don't, that you make good friends. And I will be your friend, because if you're here, you're beautiful. I love you. And I hope that you have a fun week. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. All right. Bye.